Hello, so the last time we left off, we had an issue that we had text that we did not want on the screen. And the way we're going to get rid of that is going to use a loop that loops through all the addresses for the characters on the screen, and it will set them to the character value to 0, which is no character, and it will set the background to our blue background that we have right here. Before we do that, I'm going to do some refactoring, and I'm going to move this code right here at the top to a new label. I'm going to call that init, and we're going to have our initializing code here, and I'm going to make a new label called clear. This will have the code to clear the screen. Now what we're going to have is going to have a loop, and the way loops work is now we give it a base address, and then we have a register that increments, and that register we're going to use that to offset the value from the base register. So just like this. So this is why I introduced this notation, this code in the last lesson, because we're going to use that in the clear loop. So what we're going to do is that we're going to first of all, at the top right here, we're going to set EAX register, which we're using, to 0. So we're going to initialize. This is like initializing the I variable in a for loop. So we're going to say EAX, set EAX to 0, which is kind of the equivalent to I equals 0. Then what we're going to do is we're going to basically make a very similar code to this. What we're going to do is we're going to move a byte, and we're going to move it to ES, and then we're going to offset it by EAX. So we're using the base address of ES, and then we're adding whatever EAX is to it, and we're going to move 0, which basically means move blank character to current text address. Then we're going to move the background color and the text color to the AX again, and what we're going to move is 0x30. So move the background color and character color to the next address. Now I have said next address, but I did not increment the value of EAX. So at the moment this will just override the character value. But what we need to do is we need to increment EAX. And then once we do that, we then increment EAX again to move to the next character. And so this is the main body of our loop done. The next thing we need to do is we need to have a check to see whether we have reached the end of the loop or not. And the way you do that is you compare EAX to a value using the compare command. So if you remember from the first lecture, the screen has 25 characters and it has 80 lines. Sorry, the other way around. So it has 80 characters and it has 25 lines. Now we have 2 bytes for each one of those characters. So in total we have 2 times 25 times 80 addresses that we're looping through. So what we're going to do is we're going to compare EAX to 2 times 25 times 80. And what this will do is this will put a value in a register, and if it is less than so basically if we're less than this value, we're going to jump to the top again, to the top of the clear loop, and we're going to set the next values, next character to 0 and the background. So this way we'll keep looping until until EAX increments and reaches the value 2 times 25 times 80. So this will clear the screen. Now what will happen is that if I run this code, we'll have an issue, but I'll come to that later. But what we'll do is we'll go to the terminal again, and I'm going to run make, and I'm going to run the code, and you'll see we get rid of all the other text and we have our background as we wanted. So this is good progress, but you'll see we don't have, we overwrite the the character that we just printed. And one way to fix this is just to move the code of main to the bottom, so after the clear code, so that we clear first and then we render or print the character. So I'm going to stop this again, and I'm going to make and then run this again, and as you can see we have the right output now. So we have a bluish cyan background with black text, so the H of the hello world printed. So in the next lesson we're going to print more than one character to the screen. So I'll see you guys in the next lesson.